While fans know this as Gotham City, if you're part of the cast and crew, you know it as a soundstage in Brooklyn, which is exactly where I am, on the set of Gotham in the Gotham Police Department, getting ready to talk with Bruce Wayne, the Penguin, Alfred, the entire cast of Gotham about why this is both the show you deserve and the show you need. You know, one of the things as a Batman fan that I love about the show is that I came into this thinking that I knew who all of you were. With an origin series, you can go in thinking that you know certain things about Oswald Cobblepot or Edward Nygma or Alfred or whatever the case may be, but then you see this show and the origin story sort of spins your perspective of them. Who is the character that has been most changed? Who is the character who you most knew coming in that's now the most different for you based off of what's happened on the show?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's really a good question.
That's a good question.
I certainly think the Penguin has been reimagined by Robin Taylor in a way that makes you much more sympathetic to him as a villain.
I mean, I think ultimately it's the Penguin for me, and I've had the most close proximity to that character. I love the way that kind of origin story has happened.
Penguin, played by the brilliant Robin Lord Taylor, is bullied and kicked and abused. And in many respects, it's about the molding,
and also just sort of differentiates himself from the previous versions that you've seen on screen.
I mean, you're used to Burgess Meredith and Danny DeVito, and I love the idea of what Robin's done and what the writers have done with that character.
The first person that comes to mind is Barbara Keene, where we started and where we are now. And also, it's a departure from the original Barbara Keene story in the comic books.
I would say the Riddler.
Why?
Because, I think what they're doing with him on this show is just genius.
Alfred, I think, because I forgot, going back and researching, but I forgot, he can fight. He can take care of himself. He was in some sort of service. And then watching him do these things in Gotham, it's like, oh yeah, he's kind of tough.
I never saw Riddler as who they're portraying him to be, this kind of demented, schizophrenic. I never saw Riddler that way in the comic books, but it could totally work.
It's also great to see Bruce Wayne in a live-action way portrayed by a young man, to see him at that age. We've seen maybe the animated version of that, but we've never seen it, flesh and blood.
Now you see it, and it's kind of like, okay, Alfred is a
bit of a badass.
He's a bit of a badass.
Yeah. I like that.
We're showing in this series how a place, a city, Gotham City, can change you.
The thing is, that's the interesting thing about the show. It's how the city has changed the characters to who they later become.
One of the things that the DC Universe has taught us so well is that they're not afraid to blend some universes. Obviously, we're getting Batman versus Superman a little bit later this year. Yeah. If you could pick one character from the DC Universe outside of Gotham City to maybe bring onto the Gotham set, is there another character outside of Gotham City in the DC Universe you'd like to see walk onto set one day?
That's interesting.
It's a very good question.
Oh, that's a tough call.
I'd like to maybe meet a young version of Bane, like pre-Bane becoming Bane.
I just love me some Wonder Woman. I was gonna say. I even have my own bracelet on.
I think Superman.
You're the first person to say that.
I think if there was a teenage Clark Kent on the show.
I like Clayface and I like Mad Hatter and a lot of the characters from Batman. They're the ones I used to really read and know.
I'm a big fan of the Green Lantern. Obviously, it's not gonna happen.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't write the show. I just read the words. But that would be really cool.
I think I'd go with Flash, and mostly because that's my 5-year-old's favorite, and so I would get some more street cred with him.
What if, we were doing a scene in the precinct, and you just you start on a newspaper that says 14-year-old boy saves boatload of kids in Metropolis, busload, and it's pans up and it's a regular scene. That would be so cool.
Could we make the argument that Flash has been on the show, we just didn't see him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Green Lantern, the Flash. getting the Justice League on Gotham would make my life.
I'm going to start with a bit of a controversial question. I'm a Chicago guy. Obviously, right now we're on a soundstage. We're in Brooklyn. You guys shoot a lot of Gotham around the city. But we in Chicago, we happen to think that Chicago is Gotham City because of the Nolan films. He shot his movies there. Is there a right answer? Is there a wrong answer? Where do you lie on the controversy? Where should Gotham lie?
Unfortunately, I lie on the New York side.
But I just gotta give it to New York.
I feel like when I hear Gotham, I think about New York. When I see Chicago, I think about Gotham.
I lived here for 16 years, and I have to still live here. So I feel like if I didn't answer New York, I would have people coming after me.
I don't think that Chicago is Gotham City,
Really?
but I don't think New York is Gotham City. See that? See what I did?
Well played.
I think Gotham City is Gotham City.
I think one of the great things about Gotham is that it is neither. It's Gotham.
I think Gotham is wherever you want it to lie.
So it could be Chicago, New York. It could be, Philly. Anything kind of any city that you think of as having a certain level of danger to it.
One of the reasons I feel like a lot of people claim, and I agree with them, that Batman is the greatest superhero of all time is because the villains are so good. I think more people can name Batman villains than can name villains for any other superhero. So I've been proposing a bit of a chicken or the egg. Is Batman the best superhero because he has the best villains? Or are the villains the best villains because Batman is the best superhero?
Wow. That's a really good question.
Man, I need to do my homework before this interview.
Chicken and egg.
I think Batman's the best because, for me anyway, is because he was always rooted in reality. He didn't have X-ray vision. He was just a man, trying to do good. And so I start with that premise.
I'll tell you what makes Batman better than everyone else. He's a human doing incredible things in a world of non-humans most of the time. And that's what makes him probably the one everybody follows, because it makes us feel like we can do it.
It's all about Batman. I'd say that it's because of him, because he's like, I think anyone that stands up against evil and wrongdoing, from being admittedly an ordinary person from extraordinary from an extraordinary background, it's the morality of the character that I like so much, and I think from that spawns the villain. So Batman all the way.
Bruce Wayne is also being formed by the city and the people around him. So he's drawing influences from all of these people play a hand in his development, into his becoming Batman.
But I think that we see the greatness in Batman because of how good those villains are. But he brings out the best in them, therefore they bring out the best in him. It's like the Joker and Batman, they can't kill each other, because then what is there?
I would say they're the best villains because he's the best hero. The best hero, the reason that Batman is the best hero in my mind is that he's a tortured soul. He's burdened. He's a traumatized young child who happens to have immense wealth, and so he's able to seek vengeance.
And to tie into that, like what I love about Batman is that he is not good.
So the villains are really sort of demented. The Joker, of course, is the iconic one, but all of them, the Riddler, the Penguin, they all have this kind of it's not just villainous. It's deliciously dark.
His villains are they're mentally great and twisted, but it's all in their head.
I think the villains then become great because they're not fighting with kryptonite or with some weird space thing. It's humans in a comic book context fighting each other.
Am I allowed to say I'm not sure that Batman is the greatest superhero? That's just that's the truth.
We're on the set of Gotham.
I'm not a liar. I'm not a liar.
Make the argument. Who is the greatest superhero?
The Flash.
So if you ever wonder why Lucius Fox was killed off of Gotham, it's because he's on record as saying that the Flash is better.